So what are some of your, you've mentioned a couple authors, but what are some of your kind of big influences? Like if you could
Oh,
pick,
wow.
three or four that are like these are the authors, who would that
Well,
be?
definitely Martha Wells. Just I love her voice and the way that she, especially the Murderbot series, the way that she just inhabits Murderbot and his voice. Their voice is so clear and
Hmm.
so distinct. Um, and I love that, and the storytelling is terrific. Arkady Martine is another one, just really inventive world, and again the strong female character, which I really respond to. Um, Ruthanna Emrys had a really cool take on the whole idea of the near future, Earth, what the world could be like in her book A Half-Built Garden, and I really enjoyed that, and was kind of delighted with her kind of portrayal of alien species and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
and then just for pure voice on the fantasy side, Leigh Bardugo. If I
Hmm.
read a few chapters of Shadow and Bone before I start writing, I am able to write better. The
Yeah.
voice thing just kind of gels for me, and I'm able to write better and faster and have it be more to authentically myself because she is so good at that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, her I haven't read her books yet, but they are on my list of my to get to.
mhm.
But she's really kind of exploded in the last couple of years. Like she's got tons of stuff out.
Absolutely. And, the Netflix show, it's kind of funny because Shadow and Bone has been out for a really long time.
Hmm.
And then the Netflix series popped up. And of course, they redid things a bit, but not in a bad way, I don't think. But yeah, I enjoy her work. I haven't loved like the most recent stuff. Like Ninth House didn't blow me away the way
Hmm.
Shadow and Bone did. But something for everybody. There are plenty of people who absolutely just died over that. So,
Yeah. How do you feel about we can maybe dive into a little bit of this. How do you feel about when like adaptations and stuff? I there's obviously you can never make a show or TV or movie like a book, but
mhm.
do you like things to remain pretty faithful? Are you okay if they stray? Like what's the
It's going to depend on the book. I mean,
Mhm.
certainly, I feel like for Shadow and Bone in particular, since we were just talking about that, it made sense to combine the Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows together because they are related. They are, it's not even tangential, they are tightly related. But they had to take a lot of stuff out of both of the books in
Mhm.
order to do that. And I feel like those might have been some missed opportunities. I don't object to adaptations because you can't make a book, like you said, you can't make a book visual. You really can't. So much of that goes on in people's heads.
Mhm.
Um, so, I appreciate people doing what they can to be true to it
Mhm.
enough, or true to the spirit of it, or true to the voice of it. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be interesting to see how somebody would adapt something that I've written because I kind of can't even really imagine it.
Yeah. So the thing I always kind of come back because we've said it a few times, but you can't make any like a book. So you have to be okay with some changes. But I always draw the line with so Lord of the Rings is a great
Mm,
example. The movies are probably as faithful as they could have been.
hmm.
And I remember hearing people being upset, like Tom Bombadil wasn't in the story in the
Right.
movie, and it's like, well, he actually doesn't really play any major part of the story. He's just in there.
Yeah.
So
And he's a
taking
much
him,
loved character, but he's just in there. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but then conversely, I don't know if you watched the Wheel of Time series at all.
Yes. Yes. I've
Um,
watched that.
I felt like, you can tell me your opinion. I felt like the first season wasn't even the same story
Mm-mm.
at
I'd
all.
agree with you. I agree with you.
And
They changed so much.
yeah, and I mean, so like the thing that works like Lord of the Rings, like they change some things in different character, but like for the most part, the story beats are pretty much
Hmm.
all there. And I remember I had just read Eye of the World, and then the show came out, and I thought these are not the same at all.
Mm-mm.
They
Mm-mm.
they took the names and the characters, and that was kind of it. So
Yeah. And
I,
just went off and did whatever with them. Yeah. I had some issues with it too, and I felt like there were some missed opportunities in there. I mean, that book series in particular has a lot of really striking visual stuff,
Hmm.
and the way that the relationships are overlap and interplay is kind of the core of the whole series.
Hmm.
And they just sort of went, they just sort of blew all that stuff up.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's bad, you know,
Yeah, I thought the
but
same thing. I was like, it's not like I don't think it's a bad show, but it's not the book. Or it's not the story, you
yeah.
know.
It's sort of like the adaptation of Ready Player One. I mean,
Hmm.
the movie was a lot of fun, but it wasn't Ready Player One, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I grew up in that whole era of like so when like the Lord of the Rings movies came out, I was 10 or 12, and so I was kind of doomed because I had Lord of the Rings came out and there was like Pokemon and Star Wars, the Star Wars prequels when I was like the most impressionable time for me. So I was pretty destined to be a nerd. So,
well, I saw Star Wars 17 times the summer it came out.
oh wow.
So that tells you, you know, what my destiny was.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just came across in some comic books I got found the original comic book adaptation of the first movie,
Oh wow.
and it's really cool. It's fun to flip through.
Gosh.
So,
What a find.
yeah, it's pretty fun.